to Monday's emissions from the heart with Jewel Fitzgerald. Today is a fabulous, wonderful day because it's tax day. I'm sure many of you are so excited because it's tax day, right? Yeah, this is the day that everyone in the US have to have their tax return filed to the IRS. So I know everyone is so happy about today. If you haven't already filed it, because a lot of people, if you owe a tax, this is probably the day that they're filing it. If you're looking for a refund, it would have been filed a long time ago. Me, I don't like tax day, even though I used to work for the IRS, because I don't like to file my own tax return. I don't like the idea of getting my paperwork out and filling out this return, because it takes a minute. I always have to schedule a day aside so I can get my own tax return filled out. And then I also usually have to fill my father's return out and then my husband. So that's at least 3 returns right there. So that's not a job that I even want to do out in the real world, filing other people's tax return, because I don't like to fill out my own. That's probably since 9 times out of 10, I'm always owing, because I always have these very unusual circumstances and somehow I end up owing, regardless of how much I spend, how much I send in advance to make sure the money's in there. But what I do make sure is that 90% of that, whatever's owed, is into the IRS before April 15th. Because if you don't have 90% of the tax that are owed in, you could be subject to a penalty. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure 90% of that money is in by April 15th, regardless if you filed an amended return or not. The taxes still need to be paid by April 15th. So there are several ways that you're going to make sure you have that money paid in. Most of you are employees, so your employer is going to automatically make those withholdings from your pay. I know you get this great sum of money and then it gets snatched out by various different agencies. So it's not just the IRS. I mean, there's IRS, the state, the city. I mean, they all have the same tax day, depending on the state. That states may be a little different in other states, because I'm just thinking about that. But anyway, April 15th is usually the day that everybody wants to have your tax returns filed. So your employer withhold money. So now you just got to make sure that whatever your employer is withholding is enough. Don't make that assumption that what your employer is taking out is enough, because it might not be enough, because they don't know all your other circumstances, your other incomes, nothing. They only know about how much they're paying you every week, every quarter, every month, whatever it is, how they pay you, and how much tax on the chart tells them that they need to withhold for you. So make sure that they are withholding enough. Now, what I do in that case, because I do have an employer, I've had a couple employers that I have withholding taken on because they got to take it out. But I also tell them, please take out X amount extra. I give them an actual dollar amount. You could also tell them, take out a certain percentage, 5%, 10% more, whatever. You could tell them that and they'll do that too. So that's why you need to make sure that they're taking out enough, so you won't be short when it comes time to do the tax return. You're looking for a refund and then you find out, no, you owe money. So make sure they're taking out enough, and if not, have them take out more. Or you could, if you're self-employed, you're going to use quarterly estimates. You're going to file a 1040-ES and file quarterly. So you're going to pay every quarter. You could pay more, but you're required to pay every quarter what you're earning, because you want to get that money in. Don't wait until it's too late and then you owe money and you didn't get 90% in. Because if you owe money after the due date of the tax return, you will be subject to interest. So you don't want to owe what you owe plus interest. So make sure at least 90% is paid in by the due date, and actually make sure all of it is paid in by the due date so you don't have any interest. The penalty is just if you don't have enough paid in. So make sure you do that. And we cannot avoid it. We got to do it. We live in the United States. We got to pay the taxes, and that's just the way it works. So every year when I'm hoping for a refund, I always make these great plans, and then somehow I was like, I don't know, what did happen? Did the tax change? Did I make more money than I thought I was going to do when I told them to take out X amount of dollars in my case, every week, because I'm a part-time driver and instructor. So I tell them to take X amount of money out every week so that I can have enough. And man, this year it's like, man, it still didn't work out. So I did work a little extra last year, more, because we had some issues where I needed my help. So I worked a little bit more. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that was it. And maybe I should have went in there and told them to take out more. I don't know. So we'll see with this year, because I don't think I'll be working those kind of hours this year. So I hopefully won't have the same problem. I'll check and make sure. I think we're a quarter into the year already. So anyway, but those are the ways you want to do that. But what's so crazy about that? There you go with that word crazy. But what's interesting about that is when it comes to the point that, oh man, I'm not getting a refund and I owe a dollar amount, God still works out a way for me to pay the tax. I will make sure that I figured out the tax that I was going to get or refund, because sometimes I do get a refund, that in January I do it early so I can find out, oh, okay, I need to have, if I owe X amount of money due by April 15th. I don't want to wait till the last minute and find out, ooh, where am I going to get this money from? So don't wait till the last minute. Get it filed, not necessarily filed, but get it prepared as early as possible, especially if you owe, because then you'll have almost a whole quarter to pay on it to get your money together for that. But if you wait till April 15th to find out you owe money, that's not a good time. You need to find out early enough so that you can have plans to pay for it. And God, for me, has always worked it out for me to have the money to pay it, even though I don't want to pay it. But it's the duty that we have to do as citizens. And we know what the benefits are for the taxes, helping with roads, helping with programs, all kind of stuff for paying these taxes. So we got to do it. Not only do we have to do it because the law says it, we have to do it because God says it. So let's just look at Matthew 22:15 to 22. It said there was a situation here where the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap Jesus in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with Herodians. Teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Just love how people use words to flatter people. And you aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, you hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax. They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, whose image is this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, so go back to Caesar, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. When they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. Yep, we just got to pay the tax, whatever it's due. We need to make sure we have a plan to pay the tax, because and you want to make sure that what you put on that tax return is true. Don't put anything fraudulent on that tax return, like taking extra exemptions, taking extra expenses. There's very little expenses you can take anymore, but any extra deductions, whatever you're entitled to, put that down. And that's another thing. Make sure you keep your records so that you can take deduction. Don't overpay any taxes that you shouldn't be. Make sure you fill out, make sure whatever expenses you're entitled to take, you need to talk to your tax preparer about what deductions you're entitled to. Take every dime. Don't pay more tax than you don't have to because you forgot a deduction. So I'm just saying. So, but make sure you also, whatever deductions you put down there are true, because you don't want to get in any trouble with the IRS, because penalties, jail time, especially for fraud, is not a fun thing. So it's our favorite day. I pray you get your taxes in on time, and then that's always your plan to pay what you need to pay in, because the law says it and God says it. We'll see you next week.